हेलो दोस्तों, बिगनर्स माइंड में आपका स्वागत है। और अभी हम कर रहे हैं इकोनॉमिक्स। ठीक है। इससे पहले की क्लास नहीं देखी तो फिर नाइन्थ क्लास की सारी प्लेलिस्ट बना दी है एनसीईआरटी की, जाकर देख सकते हो। यहाँ तक पूरा पढ़ लिया था। एंटी पॉवर्टी मेजर्स देखने बाकी हैं। एंटी पॉवर्टी मेजर्स, रिमूवल ऑफ पॉवर्टी has been one of the major objectives of Indian developmental strategy. The current anti-poverty strategy of the government is based broadly on two planks. One, for promotion of economic growth, targeted anti-poverty programs over a period of 30 years lasting up to the early 80s. There were little per capita income growth and not much reduction in poverty. Official poverty estimates, which were about 45% in the early 1950s, remained the same even in the early 80s. Since the 80s, India's economic growth has been one of the fastest in the world. The growth rate jumped from the average of 3.5% a year in 1970s to about 6% during the 1980s and 1990s. The higher growth rates have helped significantly in the reduction of poverty. Therefore, it is becoming clear that there is a strong link between economic growth and poverty reduction. Economic growth widens opportunities and provides the resources needed to invest in human development. This also encourages people people to send their children, including the girl child, to schools in the hope of getting better economic returns from investing in education. अगर एजुकेशन में हम इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो बदले में हमें क्या मिले? बेटर इकोनॉमिक रिटर्न्स मिले। ठीक। However, the poor may not be able to take direct advantage from the opportunities created by economic growth. Moreover, growth in the agriculture sector is much below expectations. This has a direct bearing on poverty as a large number of poor people live in villages and are dependent on agriculture. In these circumstances, there is a clear need for targeted anti-poverty programs. Although there are so many schemes which are formulated to affect poverty directly or indirectly, some of them are worth mentioning. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2025 aims to provide 100 days of government wage employment to every household to ensure livelihood security in rural areas. जो गांव के लोग होते हैं, जो रूरल एरिया होते हैं, गांव के लोग होते हैं, उनके लिए क्या है? मनरेगा। महात्मा गांधी नेशनल रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी एक्ट, ये क्या हो जाएगा? मनरेगा। और ये कब आया था? 2005 में। इसमें क्या है? इसमें 100 दिन के लिए, 100 डेज के लिए सभी को काम मिलता है, हर घर में से किसी को। It also aimed at sustainable development to address the cause of drought, deforestation, and soil erosion. One third of the proposed jobs have been reserved for women. इसमें से 1/3 किसके लिए हैं? जॉब्स वुमेन के लिए हैं। The scheme provided employment to 220 crore person days of employment to 4.7 crore households. The share of SC/ST women person days in the scheme are 23%, 17%, and 53% respectively. The average wage has increased from 65 in 2006-7 to 132 and 230-14. Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana PMRY in another scheme which was started in 1993. The aim of the program is to create self-employment opportunities for educated unemployed youth in rural areas and small towns. They are helped in setting up small business and industries. PMRY क्या करता है? एक तरीके से ये स्कीम है, जो जो छोटे लोग हैं, अनएम्प्लॉयड है, स्मॉल टाउन और रूरल एरियाज के हैं, उनको क्या करता है, छोटा बिजनेस या इंडस्ट्री लगाने का मौका देता है। Rural Employment Generation Program (REGP) was launched in 1995. The aim of the program is to create self-employment opportunities in rural areas and small towns. A target for creating 25 lakh new jobs has been set for the program under the 10th five-year plan. Swar Nayanti Gram Swagar Yojana was launched in 1919. The program aims at bringing the assisted poor families above the poverty line by organizing them into self-help groups through a mix of bank credit and government subsidy subsidy under the Pradhan Mantri Gramoddaya Yojana (PMGY). Launched in 2000, additional central assistance is given to state for basic services such as primary health, primary education, rural shelter, rural drinking water, and rural electrification. Another important scheme is Antodaya Anna Yojana (AAY), about which you will reading more in the next chapter. The results of these programs have been mixed. One of the major reasons for less effectiveness is the lack of proper implementation and right targeting. Moreover, there has been a lot of overlapping of schemes. Despite good intentions, the benefits of these schemes are not fully reached to the deserving reached to the deserving poor. Therefore, the major emphasis in recent years is on proper monitoring of all the poverty alleviation programs. The challenge ahead: poverty had certainly declined in India, but despite the progress, poverty reduction remains India's most compelling challenge. Wide disparities in poverty are visible between rural and urban areas and among different states. Certain social and economic groups are more vulnerable to poverty. Poverty reduction is expected to make better progress in the next 10 to 15 years. This would be possible mainly due to higher economic growth, increasing stress on universal free elementary education, declining population growth, increasing empowerment of the women and the economically weaker section of society. The official definition of poverty, however, captures only a limited part of what poverty really means to people. It is about a minimum substance level of living rather than a reasonable level of living. Many scholars advocate that we must broaden the concept into human poverty. A large number of poverty may have been able to feed themselves, but do they have education or shelter or healthcare or job security or self-confidence? Are they free from caste and gender discrimination? Is the practice of child labor still common? Worldwide experience shows that with development, the definition of what constitutes poverty also changes. Eradication of poverty is always a moving target. Hopefully, we will be able to provide the minimum necessary in terms of only income to all people by the end of the next decade, but the target will move on for many of the bigger challenges that still remain, providing health care, education, and job security for all, and achieving gender equality, and dignity for the poor. These will be even bigger tasks. फिर आ जाते हैं समरी. You have seen in this chapter that poverty has many dimensions. Normally, this is measured through the concept of poverty line. Through this concept, we analyzed main goal and national trends in poverty, but in recent years, analysis of poverty is becoming rich through a variety of new concepts like social exclusion. Similarly, the challenge is becoming bigger as scholars are broadening the concept into human poverty. अब इसमें एक पढ़ा था हमने ये वाला पेज जो कि इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है. सबसे पहले आ जाती है एक स्कीम मनरेगा। ठीक है, ये कब आया था, एक्ट बना था 2006 में, जिसमें कहा गया था कि 100 दिन के लिए, 100 डेज के लिए जो रूरल और गरीब लोग होंगे उनको क्या देंगे, एम्प्लॉयमेंट देंगे। ठीक है, जिसमें से 1.1/3 वुमेन का था। फिर आ जाती है प्रधानमंत्री रोजगार योजना, इसमें छोटे और जो ग्रामीण लोग हैं उनको क्या करेंगे, बिजनेस करवाएंगे, स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री खोलेंगे एक तरीके की। ठीक। फिर रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी प्रोग्राम, इसमें ये 1995 में लॉन्च किया गया था। इसमें सेल्फ, कुछ भी करना है सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी देते हैं इनको। ठीक है। फिर आ जाते हैं प्रधानमंत्री ग्रामोदय योजना, PMGY। इसमें क्या करते हैं, बेसिक सर्विस जो होती है वो प्रोवाइड कराते हैं। क्या करते हैं, बेसिक सर्विस। ठीक है, जैसे कि प्राइमरी हेल्थ, प्राइमरी एजुकेशन, रूरल शेल्टर, रूरल ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, रूरल इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन, जो भी बेसिक नीड्स होते हैं वो सब पूरा कराते हैं। इंपॉर्टेंट स्कीम इज अंत्योदय अन्न योजना। इसमें क्या करते हैं, अन्न योजना जहाँ तक है उसकी है ये खाने पीने की, बाकी इसको अगले चैप्टर में देखेंगे। ठीक है, तो इसके साथ ये चैप्टर करते हैं समाप्त, अब मिलेंगे अगले चैप्टर में।